This shop has made over $6,800 since starting out 2 months ago by selling a digital product that is currently one of the most unsaturated niches on Etsy. Today, we're gonna talk about how to make and sell digital backdrops for photographers. And to get started, you don't need any skills or design experience because we're going to use Midjourney to do 90% of the work for us. We'll be making a product from scratch, creating the mockups, and using the right SEO and tags to get traffic. I've also got a completely free prompting guide for any type of backdrop should you decide to give this business a try. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, running a photography business myself, I see a huge potential in this market. Photoshop is already so advanced that you can take a photo outdoors, cut out the background, place the subject into a digital background, and manipulate the light a bit to make it seem like the photo was taken in that environment. Using a digital backdrop like this eliminates the expense of physical backdrops, renting out a studio, or needing tons of space to store fabric or canvases. If a photographer would like to do photos in a physical space like this, they would have to buy a metal floral hoop for $47, a white background for $23, and probably the biggest expense is renting out the studio to do the work, and we're not even talking about any other decor elements like flowers and props. In other words, using a digital backdrop is a far cheaper and a lot more convenient option. That's exactly why a shop like this has made more than $3,000 per month despite starting only 2 months ago. And it's mainly because compared to other digital products like planners or stickers, this market doesn't have a lot of competition yet. You see, before AI, if you wanted to sell a digital backdrop, you'd have to actually go out and take photos of spaces like this, which obviously meant a lot more time, money, and some actual photography skills. But using a free prompting formula which I created, you can generate backdrops found in this bestseller in just a few minutes. Now, if you're not familiar with Midjourney, it's a text-to-image AI tool which requires a free Discord account and a $10 monthly plan to be able to sell images online. To get started, head on over to Midjourney and click on Join the Beta. Once you sign up and have your Discord account, just go to this plus sign here and create a server. Then go to Midjourney and under Newbie 90, click on the Midjourney bot to add it to your own private server. Now we can start giving Midjourney some instructions to generate our backdrops. So by typing /imagine, you can ask Midjourney to give you a beautiful floral hoop digital backdrop and make sure to specify the aspect ratio, which in our case will be 3:2, so just add --AR 3:2. Now these 4 images are already great, but we want more control over multiple elements of the image if we want to create dozens of variations of a backdrop like this. So after a bit of research on Discord, I found that this formula gave the best results because you can customize the florals, the lighting, and the background color. So let's break this formula down. In the first part of the prompt, we'd want to specify the type of floral hoop. So let's say we want an extravagant and lush floral hoop digital backdrop, and we want the lighting to be cinematic and the background color to be pink. I've added the ultra wide shot parameter because there needs to be as much floor space at the bottom as possible so photographers have room to place their subjects into these backdrops. Using this formula, these are some of the variations that you can create. As you can see, we have different types of florals, different background colors, and even the lighting is a bit different in each. I've included a free prompt guide in the description with all the examples you can make using this formula, so you can play around with it and see what backdrops you can create. But as good as this is, the problem with Midjourney art is that for the moment it's super low resolution, and in order to compete with star seller shops on Etsy, we need as high resolution images as we can get. So we're gonna use another AI tool to upscale this image 4 times. I personally use Upscale Media, which I'm going to link in the description, but you can use any AI image upscaler you want. Just upload your image, set it to upscale 4 times, and in a couple of seconds after it's done, just download it. Now you can see the original and the upscaled image side by side, and you can clearly notice a big difference in quality. And trust me, many photographers are pixel peepers, so this is a step that you definitely don't want to miss. So just download at least 20 backdrops that you like from Midjourney, scale them all up with the upscaler, and save them in PNG format onto your computer. Upload the backdrops to a folder onto your Google Drive, make sure the link is shareable, and copy and paste that link into a Word document. We're going to upload that document into our Etsy listing so that when customers buy your backdrops, they can have the access link. Okay, so now that we have the actual product design that we are going to sell, we need to create listing images and show how a subject would look like in this environment. And these types of backdrops are mainly for maternity or bridal shoots. Now, this is where Midjourney can actually creep you out a little bit because not only can it generate the backdrop, but it can also generate the subject. So going back to Midjourney, we're going to ask it to generate an image of a pregnant woman in an extravagant and long dress. You also want to specify that it's an editorial photo with a white background because it's easier to cut out the subject that way. Cinematic lighting to match our backdrop, and sometimes Midjourney cuts a little bit from the dress, so I'm gonna specify full dress view, and we want an aspect ratio of 16:9 to just ensure that we get the whole dress into the shot. And yeah, so as you can see, we get some very realistic results, which is actually kind of creepy. Now I'm just going to pick one of these images and save it into my computer. To place the subject into the backdrop, you have two options. The fast but paid option is to use Canva Pro, where you can remove the background with one click and use the auto adjust function, which will analyze the whole image and try and make the subject fit the colors and the lighting from the backdrop. This isn't always going to work 100% perfectly, so you might need to make some manual adjustments to brightness, contrast, and white balance to match the subject to the backdrop. Also, you want to have a look at how the light is falling into the backdrop and make sure it's consistent with the lighting of the subject. So for example, in this image, the light on the subject is falling from the left side of the image, while in the backdrop it's coming from the right side. So you would need to flip the subject horizontally to make it match up. Adjust the size and add a text like this seller did to have the thumbnail ready for your listing. The slower but free option would be to use a tool called Photopea, but the background removal process is more difficult and you'd have to play around with the image more to make it match up with the background. To use Photopea, start a new project with a resolution of 2700 times 2025 pixels, drag and drop your background into the frame and adjust it to fit the whole blank space. Hit enter on your keyboard. Then drag and drop the subject into the background, adjust the size to make it fit properly and hit enter. Next, you want to go to the magic wand tool here and click select subject. It will take a second to identify the subject, and as you can see, it has a bit of a hard time doing that, so we need to make manual adjustments to do the cut correctly. So as you can see, the Photopea solution is a bit of a process, but at least it's completely free to use. Next, we are just going to make all the rest of the listing images in the free version of Canva to showcase all the backdrops that we are selling. All we are doing here is just uploading all the backdrops we want to sell and put them side by side so customers can see our products. Now all that's left to do is open up our shop and add the listing. I've gone over how to open up an Etsy shop and add listings in my previous videos, so I'm not going to break down the full process here. I will say though that when you add your listing, you want to make sure to add all the tags I've included in this video. So if you want, you can pause the video right here and add all these tags, as these are the ones used by the star sellers within this niche. Now, bonus tip number one, if you want to sell not just floral hoop backdrops, but for example red silk backdrops or some baroque floral backdrops, I've included a list of all the potential backdrops you can create with Midjourney in the full guide, which you can download from the description. Bonus tip number two, backdrops are especially popular during the holiday season because a lot of people want family pictures or portraits done in a Christmas setting, so I would recommend generating some holiday themed backdrops for Easter and Christmas especially. Midjourney version 5 is especially good now with making ultra realistic interior images, so just make sure to use my prompts from the guide to get the best results. Alright, so that's been it. I hope you found this video useful. Please like and subscribe if you did, it would really mean the world to me. If you are getting started with this business, hit me up in the comments or send me an email. I'd love to see your designs or your shop. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day or night, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.